All right, guys, here is your answer key for the task that you had to complete. Which one doesn't belong? Your task was to drag the X over the box that did not belong. Hopefully, you were solving all of these on paper. It's super important that you are showing your work so that you can get to the correct answer. You're not trying to do these in your head, and you should not be using a calculator. So make sure that you have done all of those things before continuing this video and checking your answers. All right, for the first set of numbers, you should have gotten x equals 29.5 for each of these three. This was the exception, x equals negative 18 and 2/3. If you missed any of those, you should go back and look at them again. In the second set of numbers, you should have gotten x equals 4 for each of these, with the exception of the first one where you got x equals negative 12. Notice that I never leave negative x as my solution. So you would have solved, for example, in this second one, you would have subtracted 8 on both sides. So 4 minus 8 gives you a negative 4. You would have been left with negative x equals negative 4. We do not want to leave negative x in our answer. So if negative x equals negative 4, then x equals 4. You can think about this as having a coefficient of 1, so negative 1x. And what we would do to solve that is to divide by negative 1 on both sides. That leaves us with x and negative 4 divided by negative 1, which gives us a positive 4. So again, you never want to leave a negative variable as your solution. On to the third set of numbers. There are actually two that do not belong here. You had negative 5 and negative 5 for the first two questions. The last two, you had x equals negative 8 and x equals 8. So there were actually two that did not belong. Next, you should have gotten three answers that gave you x equals 6, and then one that gave you negative 24 over 7, which you could have converted into a mixed number of negative 3 and 3/7, or you could have just left it as negative 24 over 7 to see that that does not equal the other equations. Next, we have x equals 5 as our solution for three equations. X equals negative 5 was the one that did not belong. X equals 88 for three of the equations, and x equals 45 for the one that did not belong. X equals 1/4 for three of the equations, and x equals 3.5 for the equation that did not belong. X equals 1/3 was your solution for three of the equation, and x equals negative 1/3 for the one that did not belong. In three of our equations, we got x equals 99. In one equation, you were left with x equals 20 and 1/3. So that one did not belong. X equals 6 was your solution for three equations. X equals 4.4 was the one that did not belong. I hope that you were paying close attention to this that had a coefficient of a fraction. Remember, when we're simplifying to get our variable by itself, this shows multiplication. So our reverse operation would be division. And when you're dividing by a fraction, you're multiplying by the reciprocal. So if thinking about this equation, negative 2 plus 17 gives us 15. So we're left with 15 divided by 5 over 2. That's the same thing as 15 times 2 over 5, which gives you 30 over 5, which gives you x equals 6. So remember that if your coefficient is a fraction, you're dividing by that fraction, which means that you have to multiply by the reciprocal. You had to do that one in this example as well because you had a fractional coefficient. That is all. I hope that you were able to check your work. If there were any problems that you missed, this is a good opportunity for you to go back and work through those equations. You will see equations similar to this on your formative at the end of the learning path.